Hi, and welcome to another flip through of a finished art journal. I'm so excited to share this with you. I know a lot of my followers really enjoy seeing all the pages in a finished art journal, so that's what we're doing today. So this is one that I made the cover for. It's patchwork and embroidery that I made by hand. Then I glued it to a cardstock and made the notebook out of watercolor papers. And I like to have something like this as well as my more regular notebooks or art journals. So what I call maybe regular or more like everyday are these kind of books. This is a book that I'm just altering. It's just a textbook found at a thrift shop that I tore out pages from, and I have a tutorial on how to do altered books as well. But in this I do things like this. So lots of collage, mixed media, doodling, writing, and acrylic paint. So that's just one example of a page, but I also love having watercolor papers bound into a notebook so that I have it in like a chronological order, somewhere that I can always turn when I want to bring out some watercolors or doodle, whatever it is. And in this one I've done a lot of tutorials. I started it 3 years ago, so and just finished it a week or so ago. So when I'm doing this flip, and I have filmed a couple of pages in this that are videos, so I will mention those when we get there. But I have really loved this notebook, the size of it, the cover, the pages. So let's just start. This is the first page. So it has let me see, 4 signatures of watercolor papers that I've just folded in half and sewn together bookbinding style. So something like that is one signature. So it's gonna be a thick book and a long flip through video, because I like to talk a lot and show all the details, since this is before we archive it and put it on the shelf. So it's for prosperity and for you to be inspired to really fill and chunk up your own art journal. And so that's what we're doing. What shall we say about this page then? Got this in Happy Mail, like a 3-dimensional embellishment. This is a thread sampler that I love the look of, so I just glued it in here because the cover was the fabric of the cover was so thick that it's a little like a bump there, so it fitted perfectly inside. And then I drew myself a self-portrait, which I do not like at all, but I colored it in, so now I like it a bit better. I've used watercolors and colored pencils and my neon pencils that I got for my birthday. So yeah, it is what it is, and let's move on. This is probably, yeah, so this I made later on. So this is the first page I made in the book. It's a doodle, a watercolor doodle of different neon colors, and on top of the watercolors I've used watercolor metallic paint that I love using, but I forget about them, so I should put them closer to my desk, I think. But anyway, that's just a doodle and a fun starting page. These grid pages are inspired by a YouTuber called Susanne Rose Art, and her video Abstract Watercolor Art Journal Page, mixed media style. I don't think I will link all the things that I've been inspired by in this journal, but I'll just mention them as we go along when I know and remember what they were. So these grids does not look at all as Susanne's, and that's okay. Probably needs a lot more practice, but I just wanted to give it a try, so I made 2. And then I was in a free class, online class, that's called Sketchbook Revival. And in a Sketchbook Revival, you get different teachers on every day for a couple of days. I don't remember, since these are a couple of years ago, but this is Esther McLeod and her fun idea of drawing letters, and these are numbers from 1, 2, 3 all the way to 9, I think, and then she demonstrated how to draw cats out of the letters. So I think this is the 3, and then a cat face, and then all of the different cat faces. So it was really fun to try. And this is Artpreneur Affirmation was the lesson was called, and it's by a woman called Miriam Schulman. So she was talking about how to do lettering in different ways, but I had my own spin. I think I love strawberries, and this is like my mantra, and many years I've printed t-shirts with it. It is something I coined on the blog over 10 years ago, so it's kind of been with me that creativity is my religion. So, and I used to say that I come to it religiously. So that's a page, but I wasn't really happy with it, so I tried it with more watercolors, but also Posca pens and markers. I made 2 different ones. They're have a different feel and style, but they are my way of doing artpreneur affirmations. And this is just my doodles, the way I like to fill pages with paint, watercolor paint, and then go in with like a black pen and find shapes, write words, doodle my flowers, do some journaling or a quote. This is Charlie O'Shields from Sketchbook Revival, one of the other teachers, who said, "Pop that bubble and get out of your comfort zone." So I just wrote it down, since I had this journal out when I was watching that lesson. So I love doing pages like this. They're so fun. You have no idea when you start what you will be getting, like a bunny with a carrot and another bunny with her little handbag. So just surprises, and sometimes it comes out like this and I really love it, and sometimes it comes out see and so but it's in the book, so you just have to accept what it is. But that's a really fun spread altogether, I think. I did something that I absolutely hated on this, and did cover it up with some pretty papers, and I don't remember what it was, but I usually do not do collages on watercolor papers, especially not in this kind of book. So that was just to cover it up. I did not want to look at it. This is another Sketchbook Revival lesson, I think. I think the teacher provided a picture of a chicken, so I tried to copy it as realistically as I could. Left this for journaling, didn't write anything for a very long time, and then came back and just wrote some stuff that I like a list. And this says Happy Easter, peeps, in Swedish, Glad påsk. Oh wait, this is not Sketchbook Revival. This was something I just saw on Instagram from Bowman Illustrations. Barbara did a draw this chick in your style on Instagram. I don't think I posted it on Instagram, but I just have never done a draw this in your style challenge, which is something that you can do with any image that you have. Just provide it to your followers and ask them to draw it in your style. And I like the chick, I guess, so I drew it. So that's not in the free revival lesson anyway, but these are, and I think you can almost guess who taught this class. I think her name is Terry Runyon, and this is her lesson, Blobs to Birds. And then I did cats as well, I think. So what you do is you create a blob and a blob head, and she shows different ways of doing the blobs, and then once they're dry you come back with a white Posca pen or a gel pen and your black pen that you doodle with, and you try to find a bird. I really love this spread so much. It's not it doesn't have a distinct IHANA feeling because it's definitely a copy of someone else's style, but I think you can learn a lot by copying styles, and especially in workshops where they're actually providing you showing you how they do the little blobs, and you can either look at the video and then try to do something similar, or I think I did it at the same time, try to copy her ideas on how to make a bird shape or blob, and then also get ideas on how to do different beaks and eyes and little finishes of on the head with little feathers and stuff, because I wanted it to be like learning from her imagination instead of just going into my own head and doing what I always do. And I think that is what you can really take away from classes like this and exercises like that. None of these turned out my style. Maybe this one could be my style, but otherwise I'm trying to copy the way she did the eyes very, very differently, and here the beaks and the tail, and the cat's different expressions. So I think that's really fun, and once you've done it once you can try and do it in your own style, because then eyes like this get incorporated into your own style in a way. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say about learning from workshops. So here I've done I've done blob birds, but in my style, like more of this, just coloring the page and then finding birds within my colors, adding doodles and some wordings, and just kept on adding stuff, and I really like it. Even though I think these birds are cuter, but these are more me. Definitely more me. This was an exercise as well, I think, in Sketchbook Revival by Chris Key, and she called it Wildflower. I have notes. She called it Wildflower Floral. Watercolor Wildflower Floral. So I don't remember how much of this is inspired by what she did or my own, but it's definitely not something that came out of my head. It is a lesson, and I think she showed how to make flowers wild, and I called mine Storm Flower because I feel like it's like revolving and it's in the eye of the storm. So yeah, that's that page. We're never gonna go through this entire book. Maybe it's gonna be, I don't know. Let's see. Let's continue. Definitely doodled along and inspired by Tamara Laporte. She's called Willowing on YouTube and probably everywhere else, and she is an artist who fills notebooks, but she had some notebooks or art journals that was not filled. So a couple of years ago she started a series that was called Finishing a Journal, and she filmed as she was drawing stuff into her pages, the last couple of pages in different journals. So I was watching it and I got really inspired by it, and I tried to work along her. I think this is from one of those finishing a journal videos that Tamara did, and mine did not turn out at all as beautiful as hers, but I think you can tell that it is inspired by her. I used my regular watercolors, which is just a set like this, and I have a set of neon colors as well. So I don't have them there here, but these are just different little different brands colors that I pick up when they run out. So this one needs to be replaced, but I think it is similar to this one, so I might get another color soon. But this is just what my watercolors palette looks like. So that's what I usually use, but I think this is mostly neon watercolors, and some pens and doodles and a little quote and a sticker. So I definitely recommend you to follow Tamara at Willowing, because she does beautiful illustrations. I tried to do this again, but more in my style with the big eyes, and it just turned out to be the daughter of a demon, I think. I don't know. So once I thought the eyes were really scary, I decided to tattoo her entire neck, and later on I wrote this. So I had really fun making this drawing, but I'm not sure where it comes from and if it's, I don't know, it's just there. I had really fun doing it and using like all of the paints of my palette in her hair. And then I moved on to these little creatures, and I think They're inspired by Courtney Diaz, Little Raven Ink, but I'm not sure. I haven't written down anything more on my notepad of inspiration, so but they're really cute. And they are left on a white page, which is really unusual because I usually try to cover all of it up. So this is another really cool and fun, diverse spread. It is the end of the signature, so this paper is like handmade thin paper that I used to glue the book block to the cover. So I have that page here, and this is on the last watercolor paper of the signature, and I just was inspired to continue my cat drawings, but in doing them a bit more fun in my own style with different big eyes and patterns and just kittens for everyone. It's a really fun page, I think. Some notes on some pro markers that you can't hardly see the colors of because they were so faint, but really nice still. I don't know, I think all of them have dried out by now. Some swatching, some notes, a tape, the middle of a washi tape that I bought, and that is this one. I love it. So shiny. So I covered my page edges because I like how that looks when you close the book. So that's that. Then another of the similar one, but a little more thought out to look like they're stickers. So they're more arranged and less sketchy, but still really fun. A really pissed off cat that I drew. Ideas to explore, some ideas, and then just pens used on the page to make patterns. And the polka dots are Posca pens as well, so you can always mix and match some mixed media on your watercolor spreads. Love this, so cute. I think I've scanned them to print them out and use them in other notebooks as well. So another of those watercolor filled pages that I went back to and doodle on. Some of the mark makings are in watercolors, some of them are pens, gel pens. My signature flower doodle that I do all the time. Some clouds with spots and some plants, I guess they are. Plants with berries. I really like it. And if you thought this page was full of all the colors, wait until you see this one. I drew the flower and I thought it was a little lonely and didn't know what to do, so I lettered in a quote that you can hardly read, but it is life advice from Tove Jansson, a author that I really like. So, and the quote was in English. I don't know why I didn't look it up in the original language, but anyway, Tove's quote says, "Do not tire, never lose interest, never grow indifferent, and lose your invaluable curiosity, and never let yourself die. It's as simple as that." And I just liked it, and I took some time and lettered it out in the way I like to do lettering, like drawing the letters. And then I just filled the page with little branches and big branches and lots of polka dots, stars, and other kind of doodles to make it a full page. So that's the quote, and I have another sketchbook where I was exploring this shape over and over again, and I decided to do something with those, like I think they're just pencil doodles that I did so much. So started with these branches, and then it turned into really big branches, the background is watercolors, and the doodles here are Posca pens, like acrylic pens, and these are watercolors background, and then I think different markers. So the brown is definitely a marker. Did those. And then, let's see, this is clipped because it is pastel, and I still haven't sprayed it with like a varnish, so I need this to not smudge the orange pit too much. But the black background is watercolors, and then they're colored in with pastel pencils. So and I love how they look, but I really dislike how they smudge, so I need to set that out on the balcony. And these are just watercolors, I think, with some pens on top. Another shape that I've explored quite a bit, I have made myself many years ago. My sketchbook has a what do you call it, a printed cover with one of these patterns. Maybe I should get it so you can see it. It's a doodle book. It has really nice thick paper that I love to doodle on, and I got this printed by a company that offered to send these to me a couple of years ago. I don't think they do notebooks like this anymore, but I love this one so much still, and I don't want it to run out, but I really love doodling in it. So that's just visiting this pattern a couple of more times again this year or last year, and then maybe I should scan them as well, but these are with neon colors, so they won't turn out as good as they look on the page, but still. Let's continue. Another very Ihana page, I think. Started with just coloring and using all my colors as the background, as well as some neons. Then went in and added writing, doodles, found this shape and made a little beast. It's a sea creature, baby. And then wrote and turned my page and did some notes and added some dots. And that's that page. And these are the kind of pages that I love to do. I think they happen in stages and not like in one sitting. I did a watercolor background, I started adding this, and then I go away and do something else. I come back and I do some shapes and add some lettering, and then I look, do I have some space? Yes, I can add in little dots and stars in between all the words, and then I do that. In August, I was reading romance, creating a database, and that's just a little bit about my life, I think. And this says all the time thinking, maybe too much. Story of my life and my brain. And I think you can see how this page started. It looked like this. Letting my watercolors blend in together, adding in patterns, maybe doing some doodles on top. These are made with a black pen, and then went in with Posca markers and added in like a dark green border and different colors borders on the leaves. And I love how this came out as well. I really love this journal so much. Don't remember the inspiration of this one, but I think it's a children's book. And some shapes I was looking at that I don't really do, but I wanted to learn, and so I made flowers that are not my typical flowers, and instead of coloring those in, I colored the background in with black. So I had a very thin brush and just painted black all around and made it into like a start of a storybook. So the story could go here, or you could fill this with color, but I haven't decided. I can't decide what I wanted to use it for, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. But it really could be in a introduction to a storybook, I think, about a dark flower forest or something, where the mushrooms grow wild and eyes are watching from the darkness. So that's that. And then we have mandala flowers, where you start in the middle and then you just let them grow until you reach the edge of your page, or you decide it's done. So this is a mix of watercolors and I think pit brush pens for the patterns on top of it. All of these pages are like little meditations of calm in a busy world, where you just often I listen to a podcast or an audiobook and I sit and fill a page or half a page, and then I come back, and often I will doodle these kind of flowers and then I will come back. This is with a green marker that I made the background. A little strips of orange rainbow or bacon, as we usually call them. No, I'm just kidding. We usually don't have a name for them around here, but they could be bacon. So that's that page. Another page in the world of the art journal of Ihana. Some pink, some birds, some rainbows, some flowers, a bit of heart, and always, almost always, some dots in some way or form. And I really like the two lovebirds. Pink, looking away, blue, looking away. They really love each other, but they really can't communicate. You can tell on this page, even though they're surrounded by the beauty of summer. They have difficulty in communication. But no worries, I'm sure they will solve it eventually. This page is similar to this one, but I think this is all pens, brush pens and thin markers, and this is watercolors. All the little scallops are watercolored, and then gel pens and some Posca on top to make the patterns, stripes and dots and little pattern things to go back and make them even more fun to look at. Watercolors and doodles, and I love this one in black with white dots. So pretty. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're in the second half now. So this page actually belongs to the two last signatures. I think I'll have to divide this video and make another one, so it's not too long and you will have time to digest it all. I will see you in part 2, where we will look at these pages and finish the flip through. So thank you so much for watching this video, giving it a thumbs up and becoming subscribers so you don't miss that video. And maybe you want to look at other videos of other art journals that I've flipped through in the past. I have filled so many, I don't even know the numbers, and at least a couple of them are long flip throughs here on YouTube. So go check those out and have a beautiful day. See you soon. Bye bye.